Hello and welcome to Lovely English Stories. Thank you for stopping by. This story is written for advanced English learners. Ready? Let's get started. C1, C2 English story. The Coastal Cottage. I had never seen the village look so beautiful. The evening sun lingered on the horizon, casting an orange glow over the whitewashed cottages nestled close to the small fishing cove. The effect was reminiscent of an oil painting from times long ago. I drove down the lane, edging slowly towards the sand dunes so as not to disturb the rabbits foraging for their evening meal. Squabbling seagulls flew overhead, competing for fish near the surface of the water. Bats were swooping down towards insects and fruit on the trees nearby. I left the car and climbed the dunes to see revealed before me a breathtaking scene. A sandy path surrounded by saltwater marshes led to a vast expanse of unspoilt beach. The soft song of the grasses in the gentle breeze and the salty taste of the sea, so strong on my taste buds, was intoxicating. I stood a while soaking up the tranquil atmosphere, feeling calmer and at peace in this beautiful place. I drove a mile inland towards the retreat where I would stay. It was set a little back from the lane surrounded by sea buckthorn hedging. Opening the wooden gate, I marvelled at the ornate mosaic path of shells, pebbles, and beach glass tumbled smooth by the ocean waves. An enchanting cottage of weathered limestone, topped by a beautiful long straw thatched roof, dominated the scene. It was so quaint, I couldn't wait to explore inside. All was charming and snug. Both the cosy lounge and bedroom had painted white walls and flagstone floors. Multicoloured rugs added warmth. The farmhouse kitchen and traditional bathroom completed the look. Furnishing in rich yellow pine added to the feeling of homeliness. I felt comforted, as if being wrapped in a protective cocoon. After unpacking, I took a long, leisurely bath scented with jasmine oil. I soon began to relax and afterwards wrapped myself in a thick toweling robe, drank a mug of warm milk, and fell into a deep sleep on the luxurious feather bed. As dawn broke, I was awoken by the deep boom of the foghorn. I hoped that the mist would clear before I ventured out. The raucous cries of the seagulls permeated the air as a new day unfolded. I spent the morning at leisure, and after eating a hearty brunch, I set off to explore the surrounding countryside. The air was fresh, now that the dank drizzle had cleared. I walked along a nearby public footpath, which led to a meadowland complete with a sparkling stream. The air carried the delicious scent of spring flowers, such as larkspur, buttercups and daisies, growing wild amongst the verdant grassland. Ahead, the horizon was edged with endless rolling hills, shimmering gold in the early afternoon sun. The blue sky was peppered with tufty white clouds drifting in the spring breeze. I came upon an area of wilderness enclosed by fencing. It was a nature reserve leading onto a stretch of golden sand. Dune ridges with extensive freshwater marsh between them were dotted with fairy flax and bee orchid. Eventually, the marsh gave way to the beach, untouched and deserted. Thousands of birds nest, migrate, and gather on the sand dunes, marshes, and shores, particularly in winter. Skylarks were in full song above the purple haze of the meadows, and little terns were fishing in the shallows. Cordgrass and glasswort covered the boundary between the dunes and shore. The breeze was bracing, and I felt a breath of wind across my face. It was so relaxing and peaceful. Wildlife, animals, and plants lived undisturbed and protected in the impressive landscape. I headed towards the beach through the silvery green dune grass. I felt so at ease as I looked out into the deserted distance. The sea song of waves soothed me as I felt the soft white sand under my feet. I had forgotten how much I loved this area. I had never been to this particular spot, but in the past had spent a holiday near to the cottage in which I was staying. The next day, I drove towards the lovely, picturesque cove which I had seen on the horizon the day prior. After parking the car, I started the descent to the shore through the historic and charming old fishing village. Its twisting, narrow, cobbled streets were a delight. I could imagine sailors, fishermen, and smugglers walking them hundreds of years ago. There were cottages, bright and cheery with their uneven white walls reflecting in the warm sunshine. I veered onto a challenging pathway which led down to the beach. I was rewarded with the sight of a wonderful sand and pebble shoreline, mixed with different coloured seashell fragments, sunbathing rocks, pools, and caves to explore. The air was filled with the smell of salt. Frothy waves gently drenched the sand, oozing onto the beach before me. A few fishing boats out at sea bobbed and lolled in the incoming tide. Everything was so tranquil. I stayed a while, enjoying the scenery around me, before tackling the steep ascent to the cliff tops. Relaxed and refreshed, I headed back to the cottage, knowing that I would look back on the last few days as being the most calming, peaceful, and enjoyable I had ever experienced. Now, let's go through some of the vocabulary from this story. Boundary. Boundary. A boundary is a real or imagined line that marks the edge or limit of something. Refreshed. Refreshed. To be refreshed is to be less hot or tired. Tranquil. Tranquil. If something is tranquil, it is calm and peaceful and without noise, violence, or worry. Twisting. Twisting. If something is twisting, it has a lot of turns or changes of direction. Untouched. Untouched. If something is untouched, it has not changed and has not been harmed or spoiled in any way. Drift. To drift. To drift is to move slowly, especially as a result of outside forces with no control over direction. Linger. To linger. If something lingers, it takes a long time or longer than usual to leave or disappear. Nest. Nest. A nest is a structure that birds make to keep their eggs and babies in. Quaint. Quaint. If something is quaint, it is interesting or attractive, with a slightly strange or perhaps old-fashioned quality to it. Retreat. Retreat. A retreat is a private, safe, relaxing space. Uneven. Uneven. If something is uneven, it is not level, equal, flat, or continuous. Wilderness. Wilderness. Wilderness is an area of land where people do not live or grow crops and where there are no buildings. We hope you enjoyed these vocabulary explanations and this lovely English story. Thank you for stopping by. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Get productive and check out our language learning productivity packs on Etsy. You can find the link in the description box below. Use code YouTube10 for 10% off. See you soon!